Hello and welcome. Today, I want to share Emma's story, a journey of love, loss, and finding strength in the quiet seaside town of Seabrook. It's a tale of broken promises and the courage to move forward. Let's begin. My name is Emma. I live in a small town by the sea called Seabrook. It's a quiet place. The waves make a soft sound all day and all night. I like the quiet. I am 25 years old. I work in a small bakery near the harbor. I make bread and cakes. The smell of fresh bread makes me happy. My life was simple, maybe a little lonely sometimes, but I was okay. Then I met James and everything changed. This is my story about waiting for him, waiting for a promise that was broken. I grew up in Seabrook. My parents owned a little bookshop. They loved books and they loved me, but they passed away when I was 19. It was very hard. I lived alone in our small house above the bookshop. I missed them very much. I started working at the bakery to pay my bills. Mrs. Thompson, the owner, was kind to me. She taught me how to bake. Baking felt good. It was warm. It made people smile. Seabrook is a small town. Not many new people come here, especially in winter. James came in the winter. He said he was a writer. He wanted a quiet place to finish his book. He rented a small cottage near the cliffs. He started coming to the bakery every morning for coffee and bread. He was different from the men in Seabrook. He was tall with dark, messy hair and kind blue eyes. He smiled easily. He asked me questions about my life, about the town. He listened when I talked. Really listened. Most people didn't do that. He told me stories about the places he had traveled. He made the world feel bigger. He told me I had a beautiful smile. He said I was like the sunshine in the quiet town. His words made my heart feel warm. I wasn't used to compliments. I was usually quiet and kept to myself. But with James, I felt different. I felt seen. I felt special. We started spending time together. After work, we would walk along the beach. The winter air was cold, but I didn't mind. We collected shells. We watched the waves crash on the shore. He told me about his book. It was a story about finding love in unexpected places. He said I inspired him. One evening, we were sitting on the old wooden pier. The stars were very bright. The sea was calm. He took my hand. His hand was warm. Emma, he said softly, I didn't expect this. I came here to be alone, to write. But I found you. And I think I'm falling in love with you. My heart jumped. I looked into his eyes. They looked sincere. I think I'm falling in love with you too, James, I whispered. It felt like a dream. He leaned in and kissed me gently. It was my first real kiss. It felt like magic. After that night, we were inseparable. He spent less time writing and more time with me. We explored the coast together. We had picnics on the cliffs, even when it was cold. We cooked dinner together in my small kitchen above the bookshop. He read parts of his book to me. I felt like the luckiest girl in the world. He told me about his life before Seabrook. He said he had a difficult past. He didn't give many details. He just said he wanted a fresh start, a new life. He said he wanted that new life with me. Emma, he said one night, holding me close, when I finish my book, let's leave this place together. Let's travel. Let's see the world, just you and me. We can build a life somewhere new, somewhere bright. His words were like a beautiful song. Leave Seabrook, see the world. With him. It sounded like a fairy tale. I had never dreamed of leaving my small town. But the thought of going with James, of starting a new life together, filled me with excitement. Yes, James, I said. I want that more than anything. He smiled. Good, he said. I'll finish the book soon. Maybe in a month. Then we'll go, I promise. He kissed my forehead. I believed him with all my heart. He was my love, my hope, my future. The next month was full of planning and dreaming. James worked hard on his book. He seemed happy, excited. We talked about where we would go first. Italy, France, a warm island somewhere. It didn't matter where, as long as we were together. He told me to pack a small bag, just the important things. He said we would travel light, start fresh. He said he would finish his book on the last day of March. He said he would send it to his publisher. Then, on the first night of April, he would come for me. He told me to wait for him at the old pier, the place where he first told me he loved me. He said to be there at 10 o'clock at night. He would have his car ready. We would drive away from Seabrook and start our adventure. The last day of March felt long. James was busy finishing his book. He called me in the afternoon. His voice sounded excited. I did it, Tim. The book is finished. I'm sending it now. Tonight is the night, our night. Wait for me at the pier. 10 o'clock. Don't be late. I won't be late, I promised. My heart was beating so fast. I love you, James. I love you too, Emma, he said. This is just the beginning. Then he hung up. That evening, I felt like I was floating. I packed my small bag carefully. A few clothes, my parents' photo, a book James gave me. I looked around my small apartment. It held so many memories, sad ones and happy ones. But I was ready to leave, ready for my new life with James. I put on my warmest coat and a scarf James liked. I checked the time again and again. It felt like hours passed in minutes. Finally, it was almost 10 o'clock. I locked the door to my apartment, took a deep breath, and walked down the quiet street toward the harbor. The night was clear but cold. The moon was bright, making the water shimmer. The pier was empty, just like the night he first kissed me. The waves made their soft, familiar sound. I stood at the end of the pier, my small bag beside me. My heart was full of hope and excitement. I looked toward the road, waiting to see the lights of his car. 10 o'clock came. He wasn't there. He's just a little late, I told myself. Maybe sending the book took longer. I waited. 10:15, 10:30. Still no sign of him. The wind felt colder now. I pulled my scarf tighter. A small worry started in my stomach. Where was he? I checked my phone. No messages. No missed calls. I tried calling him. Straight to voicemail. Just like that night he disappeared before. But this was different. This was our plan, our promise. He wouldn't break it, would he? 11 o'clock. The pier felt very long and lonely. The moon watched me silently. The waves seemed to whisper questions. Where is he, Emma? Why isn't he here? The worry grew bigger. It turned into fear. Maybe something happened to him, an accident. I called his number again. Voicemail. I sent him a text message. James, where are you? Are you okay? I'm waiting at the pier. No reply. 11:30. Midnight. The town behind me was dark and asleep. Only the lighthouse beams swept across the water. I was alone, completely alone on the cold, empty pier. The excitement was gone. The hope was fading. My heart felt heavy, like a stone. Tears started to fall, hot tears on my cold cheeks. Why wasn't he here? Did he change his mind? Was our plan, our future, just a game to him? Was his love just words? I stayed there. I don't know why. Maybe a tiny part of me still hoped his car would appear. Maybe I couldn't accept that he wasn't coming. I waited. 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock. The moon moved across the sky. The stars looked cold and distant. My body was numb from the cold, but my heart ached with a sharp pain. He never came. All night I waited. As the first light of dawn touched the sky, painting it pale pink and gray, I knew. He wasn't coming. He had left. He had broken his promise. He had left me waiting alone on the pier, with my small bag and my broken heart. I picked up my bag. My legs felt stiff and weak. I walked slowly back toward the town. The bakery lights were on. Mrs. Thompson was starting her day. The smell of baking bread, usually comforting, now made me feel sick. I didn't want anyone to see me. I felt so foolish, so heartbroken. I climbed the stairs to my apartment. The key felt heavy in my hand. Inside, everything was the same, but everything felt different. The dream was over. The future I had imagined with James disappeared like mist in the morning sun. I sat on my bed, still in my coat. The small bag was on the floor. I looked at my phone again. Still nothing. Silence. He was gone. He had promised me a new life, a world of adventure. Instead, he gave me a cold night on a lonely pier and a silence that echoed louder than any words. Now I wondered, did he ever truly love me? Was any of it real? Or was I just a chapter in his book, a character he created for a little while, then left behind when the story moved on? The questions hurt. The not knowing hurt. But the silence hurt the most. He didn't even say goodbye. He just vanished, leaving me alone again. The days after that night were heavy, like walking through thick fog. I went to work at the bakery. Mrs. Thompson looked at me with kind, worried eyes, but she didn't ask questions. I was grateful for her silence. I tried to smile at customers. I tried to focus on kneading the dough, shaping the loaves. But my mind kept going back to the pier, to James's promises, to his empty space beside me. Everything in Seabrook reminded me of him. The beach where we walked, the cliff path where we had picnics, the corner table at the small cafe where we drank coffee. Even the books in the library seemed to mock me with stories of love found and futures built. It felt like his ghost was everywhere. I stopped walking by the sea in the evenings. I stayed in my apartment after work. I didn't want to see the pier. I didn't want to see the places we shared. The small bag I had packed for our journey sat in the corner of my room. I couldn't bring myself to unpack it. It was a symbol of a future that never happened. I felt so naive, so stupid. How could I have believed him so easily? He told me he had a difficult past. He didn't give details. Maybe I should have asked more questions. Maybe there were signs I ignored because I wanted to believe in the fairy tale. I remembered times he seemed distant, times his phone calls were short. Were those clues? Was he hiding something bigger than work stress? Maybe he was never going to leave with me. Maybe it was all a lie. The thought, did he ever truly love me, played in my head again and again. It was a painful question with no answer. If he loved me, how could he leave me like that, without a word, without a real goodbye? Love doesn't do that, does it? I felt ashamed to talk to anyone. What would I say? The man I loved, the writer who promised me the world, just disappeared. It sounded foolish. I felt like people in town would whisper, "Poor Emma," they might say, always waiting for something that never comes. So I kept my pain inside. I built walls around my heart. Some nights, the sadness was overwhelming. I would curl up in bed and cry until I had no tears left. I missed him. I missed the way he made me laugh. I missed feeling loved, even if that love might have been false. The loneliness felt deeper than before. Before James, I was alone, but I was content. Now I was alone and broken. One rainy afternoon, I was arranging cakes in the bakery window. An old fisherman, Mr. Harris, came in. He bought bread every day. He was usually quiet, just a nod and a smile. But that day, he looked at me for a long moment. Then he said, "Life's like the sea, Emma. Sometimes calm, sometimes a storm. Storms pass. You just gotta hold on tight to your little boat." He patted my hand gently and left. His words surprised me. They were simple, but they felt true. I was in a storm, and I needed to hold on. Maybe I couldn't control the storm, but I could try to steer my boat. That evening, I did something small. I took the packed bag from the corner. I opened it. I took out my parents' photo and placed it on my bedside table. Then slowly I unpacked the rest. Putting the clothes away felt like closing a door. A painful door, but one that needed to be closed. I started thinking about Mr. Harris's words, holding on. What did I have to hold on to? I had my job. I had Mrs. Thompson's kindness. I had the memory of my parents' love. And I had myself. Maybe that had to be enough for now. I decided to do something just for me, something that had nothing to do with James, or waiting, or broken promises. I remembered seeing a small pottery class advertised in the community center. I always liked working with my hands, like baking. Maybe I could try making things with clay. The next week, I went to the class. It was messy and difficult at first. The clay wouldn't do what I wanted. My pots were wobbly and uneven. But I liked the feeling of the cool clay in my hands. I liked focusing on shaping something. It made my mind quiet for a little while. The other people in the class were friendly. We laughed at our mistakes. It felt good to laugh again, even just a little. Slowly, very slowly, things started to shift. I didn't wake up every morning thinking of James first. Sometimes, I woke up thinking about what I would bake that day or what I wanted to make in pottery class. The pain was still there, like a bruise deep inside. But it wasn't sharp anymore. It was a dull ache. I started walking on the beach again, not to the pier, but further down, where the rocks were interesting. I found beautiful pieces of sea glass, smoothed by the waves, blue, green, white, like little jewels left by the tide. I started collecting them. Each piece felt like a small piece of hope, something beautiful found after the storm. I began to accept that I would probably never know why James left. I would never know if his love was real. Maybe he was a coward. Maybe he was a liar. Maybe he was just lost himself. But his reasons didn't matter as much anymore. What mattered was how I chose to live my life now. I couldn't let his actions define me forever. One day, about 6 months after he left, a postcard arrived at the bakery. It was addressed to me. There was no return address. The picture was of a sunny beach somewhere far away. On the back, only 3 words were written in handwriting I recognized. I am sorry. I held the postcard for a long time. Sorry for what? For leaving? For lying? For breaking my heart? His sorry felt small compared to the pain. But it was something. It was an ending of sorts. I didn't feel anger anymore. I just felt a quiet sadness. And then I put the postcard away in a drawer. I didn't need it. I was already moving on. Healing wasn't fast. It wasn't a straight line. Some days I felt strong and hopeful. Other days, a memory or a song would bring tears to my eyes. But I kept going. I kept baking. I kept making my lopsided pots. I kept collecting sea glass. I kept talking to Mrs. Thompson and Mr. Harris. I focused on the small, good things in my life. Mrs. Thompson noticed the change in me. "You seem lighter, Emma," she said one morning, handing me a warm croissant. "Like a cloud has lifted." I smiled. "Maybe it has," I said. "I think the storm is passing." I learned that waiting for someone else to bring you happiness, to be your everything, is risky. Because people can leave. People can break promises. Happiness has to start inside you. Love has to start with loving yourself. James didn't break me. He broke my heart yet, but I was still whole. I was still Emma. Now when I look back, I don't think of James with anger. Mostly, I feel sad for the girl who waited all night on the pier, sad for her broken dreams. But I also feel proud of her. Proud that she got up the next morning, proud that she kept going, proud that she found her way back to herself. My life is still quiet. I still live in Seabrook. I still work at the bakery. But I feel different. I feel stronger. I learned that even when someone you love walks away, even when promises are broken, you can survive. You can heal. You can find joy again in small things. The smell of bread, the color of sea glass, the feel of clay in your hands. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I'm ready to face it, one step at a time, with my own strength and my own light. Emma's story reminds us that even when promises are broken, we can find light within ourselves. Be kind to yourself, hold tight to your little boat, and keep going. Thank you for listening. Until next time.